YouTube. Oh, and we are live. We are live for video game bullshit. Oh my goodness.
You said it.
So ironically, Tristan couldn't hear, but we had the big intro song. You'll hear it on the actual recording, but it's our whole theme. It's what we've used since season 3 or 4, and it's awesome. It's River City Rebels, their video game bullshit. It says, welcome to the podcast. First time we're going on YouTube. We're doing it live, so as people realize, hello YouTube, and as people realize we're back and start tuning in, we should grow again back to the pre-COVID numbers that we did with video game bullshit, VGBS. We never really did.
Interesting for me. Oh, I'm sorry about that, Jeff. Yeah. Go ahead, dude.
I was just gonna say we've never really done it live, and so it's very, very interesting. So what's up, man?
I was going to say it's going to be really interesting for me because, I wasn't a long-time listener of video game bullshit, but you guys do have a really long history.
Very long history.
I'm going to be learning all about it as we go along. So
and yeah, so where the hell have I been? That's the question. Where has VGBS been? That's like kind of the episode synopsis. This is episode 101. This is 101. Or maybe it's VGBS 101. What is it? We don't know. We got some new members. We got some old members that are no longer here. So we're going to address it all. We're going to talk about it all. So first piece is, and we have a whole itinerary Tristan and I are going off of, and in Tristan we'll chat. But like, where have I been? So, as everybody knows, when we started VGBS, I was writing books in Hagen's Alley and doing a bunch of craziness. It was fun as hell. Hagen's Alley's still going. Still making books. I think I have about 18, 19 books now published. Bringing on other authors. Hint, hint. Hint, hint. Bringing on other authors, too. And other crazy people as part of the community. I've been publishing multiple books. However, there's been a little something else that's taken a lot of time, and I'm pointing to my shirt right now for those listening on the podcast. And so, in 2020, around the same time as one of the last episodes of Video Game Bullshit, Nintendo said I could publish Nintendo Switch games. And as soon as that happened, I had talked with multiple people, including, Saru Maru, who did FX Unit Yuki. We've had him on episodes back in the day, as well as he did the original artwork for the Season 1 Kickstarter of Video Game Bullshit. He did the artwork of me with a gun, and Kyle with his, his power glove on and everything. So it was a badass artwork. And we talked with Sarumara, and we're like, hey, if Nintendo ever says yes, I'm going to publish physical games, and we're going to get FX Unit Yuki on the Switch, physically. He still hasn't ported FX Unit Yuki yet to the Switch, so as soon as that happens...
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think that quite come to fruition.
Not yet. Not yet. But, Premium Edition games, going strong. The little shameless plug is that I just got in my copy of Rack and Ruin. This is the retro edition. It's embossed. We have foil. This is our 15th release. This is our 10th release, and we have 15 releases released for the Nintendo Switch now. This is number 10 in hand. This is like a Zelda style combined with a bullet hell. Really awesome overhead game. And we're fortunate. Tristan works with us too, doing design work. This is actually his first major one where he did a lot of design work with it. It turned out impressive. But this podcast, this channel, Video Game Bullshit, is not going to be about talking about premium. This is going to be about us bullshitting about video games. But that is where I have been. Things have been crazy. Now, the last episode that VGBS had done was called Retro Reimagined, where Kyle and I were going to go and talk new Nintendo games in a different way. So we talked about Castlevania 2 Redacted, Simon's Quest, where you can actually play it like, how it should have been played, or play it more playable with the ROM hack that was. Less cryptic, all that stuff. And it was awesome. It was amazing. We were going to do another game, and then, time got away from us. COVID happened. A bunch of craziness. I think, we recorded it before COVID. It took a year for Kyle to edit it, and then came out. But we were talking about redoing Video Game Bullshit with this style format, where we're going to have a little bit of a, video interview spot where we can shoot the shit live, have, as people comment, the comments will show up live on the stream as we continue to grow. And then we also do the Retro Reimagined. So the one main thing, and since I've mentioned Kyle a few times and he's not here, let's do the cat out of the bag, Tristan, before we do your introduction. So, first things first, Video Game Bullshit, I'm always drinking. So, I have Hornitos Tequila. Right here, Hornitos, with some pineapple juice and some Mio, some cherry Mio. I'm trying to watch my calories a little bit. However, I'm drinking a little tequila. So, about a month ago, Kyle had passed away. So, Kyle, co-host for VGBS, passed away suddenly on his 40th birthday. And, he's definitely the best of us. Everybody knows him. We're going to be at Midwest Gaming Classic this year, and we're all going to be there as a tribute to Kyle. He wanted us to carry on VGBS, so we're carrying it on. It's why I'm not renumbering it. We're 101. We're going to keep on driving on. So one thing that everybody knew about Kyle, I did the book, The Complete NES collections at his house. So he did, when he collected something, he collected all of the things. When we have Hasbro wrestlers, he collected all of the Hasbro wrestlers. The unfortunate part is, in alignment with, drinking, Kyle would drink all of the vodka and drink all the stuff. So, it caught up to him a lot, and unfortunately, there's a bit of an alcohol thing where his insides, he didn't know about it. It was some kind of intestinal thing, and it was nothing we could do about it. So, unfortunately, we're going to be out there doing a tribute to Kyle for Midwest Gaming Classic, as well as a celebration of his life afterward. It's going to be really awesome. And in a future episode, we're going to bring on Kyle, who was in Season 1. We're going to have him come and talk too. We're going to talk some Kyle stories, because Kyle will go on his channel, KWK Box, and also do a bunch of Let's Plays with Doom and Ghouls and Ghosts and Castlevania and Ninja Gaiden, and he would go on there and play too. And so it's the best thing we can do. One thing that we are doing and we are setting up is we are setting up a charity for Kyle, a gamers charity. We're gonna set up some stuff for some to support some children's shelters, and for his collection, because his collection is huge. I went out there after he passed to help out, his mom, and we loaded up everything, got everything ready. We're gonna go out there and put it all in storage, but we're gonna create Unky Kyle's Retroseum, because that's my daughter London. That's
Unky
her
Kyle.
godfather. He's Unky Kyle. And so we're creating Uncle Kyle's Retroseum. It's going to be like the old Uncle John's flea market from where Kyle and I used to go to. That's the logo. Looks like Uncle Kyle's, like Uncle John's flea market. And Hagen's Alley is going to morph the bookstore with Uncle Kyle's Retroseum. As we start posting like some of his game collection and figures and stuff up there in the Retroseum, those stuff that we're going to have to part with, everything's going to go towards charity. All the profits go to charity. And we're going to try to make sure that, collectors are able to appreciate some of the awesome stuff that Kyle collected over the years. That's going to be coming in a few years, though, because, a little bit about me is I'm still serving in the military, and they are moving me to Hawaii. So,
oh, you poor thing.
So, yeah, I got to go to Hawaii for a few years. Once I get back, though, we're going to gather up all of Kyle's stuff, though, and then we're going to start the Retroseum up. So those of you that are, tuning in, feel free to reach out. We'll get a list together. Tristan and I will get a list together for those that are interested in getting a bulk amount. Because, big collectors, there's, all of the NES games. Every one of them. Including, Stadium Events, Little Samson, Bubble Bobble 2, Flintstones 2.
Yeah, if it's half as impressive as what you had described to me, having seen it after you were helping out his mom, I mean, there are going to be collectors chomping at the bit just to get their hands on just a little bit of his collection, which he curated and is a special thing.
He curated everything, and I mean, there's going to be nostalgic things that, him and I collected. If we've done a VGBS episode on it, I have a CIB. And so, all of those things, I'm going to be making a Retroseum at my final house out in Florida, where I'm going to be retiring out in. Retiring from the military, but then continuing Hagen's Alley and Premium Edition games. But we're going to make a Retroseum. We're going to make a complete tribute to Kyle with all of our nostalgic stuff that we had as kids. Because, him and I grew up together. I've known him since he was born. So it's it is a sad time. Definitely pour one out for Kyle. Cheers to Kyle. All right. That's the hard part.
Yeah.
But the show definitely must go on because Kyle wanted it to go on. And fortunately, Tristan, the awesome Tristan, is here with us to bullshit and continue on the bullshit tradition.
Absolutely.
It's awesome to have you here. I wanted to get the cat out of the bag. People were like, "Where's Kyle?" Because those that are we were the cool Wild West podcast back in the day. We were the cool kids podcast. Everybody listened to us. We're the underground, and we would sit there and we don't hold back on nothing. So that's why it's not going to be associated with premium. Because if I ain't PG, premium, I'll get in trouble.
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to be
so maybe we shouldn't be wearing the merch. Is what you're saying?
I'm okay wearing the merch. I'm not going to outwardly. And that's the thing. Feel free, for those of you that are listeners, feel free to reach out and ask us questions on anything. Because we will talk it. Now, I'm not going to outwardly trash competition or do something dirty or nasty or any of that kind of stuff.
Not.
However, if a company decides to fire a social media manager over some dumb bullshit, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that from a outward perspective and how that should look. You know what I mean? So if people want to hear about that, ask us, and we will absolutely put our personal opinions out there on those type of things.
We're always going to give you guys our honest opinion. That's one thing that you can always count on.
Absolutely. And, some crazy stuff. But I have introduced you, Tristan, so now you got to tell us about you a little bit.
I have to introduce myself. Well, okay. Well, first and foremost, I never got to meet Kyle. Everything you've said about Kyle, he sounds like such an amazing person to hang out with, to know, as collectors and gamers, all we are is a community, and it just makes the hobby so much better to know other passionate people, and it sounds like Kyle really fit that mold. So the first thing that I want to say is I could never replace Kyle. Even though I've never met the guy, I'm a different person. I'm a different personality. I just want to get that out there first and foremost. So,
oh yeah,
I'm not. I don't know what Kyle's style was. So I'm not even going to try and be Kyle. But he's here in spirit. He really is. He always will be.
Absolutely. I mean, if not, he'll come up behind me and smack me or something.
Yeah, okay.
So hey, I got stories that we'll tell later.
Sure. So the number one thing that people are probably wondering is, well, who is this guy? What's he doing with Jeffrey Wittenhagen? Well, Jeff, I've been familiar with Jeff's books. Hagen's Alley. I have owned several of them. Kickstarted a couple of his books as well. And I had my own aspirations around the time that his books were coming out. Really hard thing to navigate, like self-publishing. It's extremely expensive if you self-publish here in the United States. And there is an author that I will not mention right now, that a very famous one in the video game world that I reached out to, and he wouldn't give me the time of day. It is what it is. Like, he doesn't owe me anything, but I never forgot that. When I reached out to Jeff, however, I mean, dude gave me the shirt off his back. Like, he took me under his wing, and now I'm under his brand, which, the quality between the first edition that I kickstarted and self-published, the quality that he was able to produce in my second edition, it's night and day. So that just tells you a little bit about, like, his attention to detail, his standards. I feel very blessed to have crossed paths with him, and for him to give me the time of day that other people haven't. So.
Well, I mean, I appreciate your hustle, man. You are out there, like.
It's not the first thing that I'm saying, but it's the second thing that I'm saying.
The shoe on the other foot, though, is that you go above and beyond, providing awesome support to everything we do. That includes on the premium side, on Hagen's. Like, dude, hats off. Like, it's like, that was why you and another buddy were the first two people we asked for, and we had a second co-host that was supposed to come, but his family his family life got a little out of control recently, so he's unable to be with us. But that's nerdy Nick, Buff Mario. Maybe we'll get him on as a guest spot in the future. But like, it's why you were like the first person. I was like, dude, we can bullshit about games all the time. Like, this is easy.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'm so passionate and just nerdy about it. Like, it's always been my life. Like, growing up, watching the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, like, that was my jam, dude. Like, when they did that commercial for the movie coming out, where they did the theme song of the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, oh my gosh, dude, I freaked out. Like, I love callbacks like that, and I mean, dude, that was my childhood. So, the fact that I'm able to, like, write books and do just be like totally like, inside of this world that I just grew up with, pinch me. Like,
it's wild.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, I published a book through Jeff, and then, eventually he needed some help with...
He says a book, but that thing is like a tome.
Yeah, okay.
That thing is huge, man.
It's the Video Game Console Collector's Field Guide. It's right up there.
So big.
And it's 460 pages, but it's
like bigger than my normal books, too. It's huge.
Yeah, well, I know. It's all good, but it's just like, if you're a console collector, if you're just like curious about what's out there, because a lot of people don't know just how much hardware was put out. That's an amazing book to have. It's a great reference.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing. It's awesome.
So that was a success, thanks to Jeff. And then
it's all the content in the book, man. It's cool. People want it. It's badass.
I'm glad. I'm flattered anytime someone says that they enjoy it, and that, I did a good job with it because I'm not the kind of person that takes praise very well. But give it to me, whatever.
Bring it in. Bring it in, man.
Exactly. No, it feels good. Because it was, I started the book in 2010, and I didn't publish the thing until 2020. So it took me 10 years of research and Photoshop and like self-teaching myself all these programs and
and I have admittedly given you a crash course in the video game publishing side. Like the amount of crazy creative work we have to do on a daily basis right now is insane.
It's overwhelming. The hard way, and like you took my stuff to the next level. So I thank you for that. But
and everything we're doing with Premium is going to benefit both of our next books and every future item.
Absolutely.
It's going to be ridiculous because
tie a bow on who I am. Like I'm a book author. I work for Premium Edition Games as a graphic designer and a video editor for Jeff, and do just odds and ends kind of stuff. My day job, so like he said that he's active duty military. I was 20 years in the Air Force, 20 years and 30 days, but who's counting?
Thank you for your service.
Hey, thank you very much. And then so I retired. I moved back to. I'm living in Papillion, Nebraska, which is outside of Omaha, and married to a wonderful woman since 2006. No kids, 4 cats. I'm a cat guy.
You got 4 kids. They are cats.
Yeah, they are kids. They're furry.
4 kids, fur burger cats.
Pretty much. And for my day job, I'm a defense contractor, but I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. It's awesome, though.
Yep.
But that's awesome. Yeah, and the thing is that let's do a little Tristan history now. Because, back in the day, before Premium Edition and before I was doing Hagen's Alley, I've done stuff like worked with Nintendo Age, did the Mother 3 Game Boy Advance release, done some crazy releases. Tristan has done some ridiculous stuff over the years. One of the coolest things that he did was he did like these metal ambassador certificates for those that had the 3DS ambassador certificate. He recently did a Nintendo Power cassette tape. Just like a Nintendo Power cassette tape type deal. One of the first things that he sent me, a couple of the first things that Tristan sent me when we started, working on the beginnings of getting the Video Game Console Collector's Field Guide. I can say that maybe 3 times fast after a little more tequila.
It's a mouthful.
But a couple things that he sent me was he did the Game Center CX2, Retro Game Master 2. He did a little bit of work with the reproduction of that with, was it with John Miller?
It was with John Miller.
Was it with John Miller? The classic John Miller that we know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
and
John Miller, who...
the other piece that you sent to me was the Commodore 64 Super Mario Brothers.
Yes, sir.
Which are both amazing. And the thing is, in video game bullshit history, and this is going to give Tristan some listening homework, we did a Game Center CX episode. Because Game Center CX is VGBS's favorite TV show of all time. It's always been our favorite TV show of all time.
I'm a good fit then, because I love that show. Shinya Arino is my spirit animal.
And I know I had restarted back when we were still recording seasons of VGBS. I started rewatching from episode 1. I am now on the Ocarina of Time 2nd episode, finally. I am still trudging along. I watch it little bits at a time, 1 a month or so. I still do it. It's just so nice, so peaceful. And I mean, I've done, re-edits of some of the fan translations and shared them online. When Kotaku put out the Retro Game Master DVDs, I re-edited.
That was my introduction to that series.
Yeah.
Kotaku doing that.
And I had taken the original Japanese versions because they got rid of all the Game Center sections once the Retro Game Master episodes came out. but I had the originals, so I recut it together after it was all jacked up and re-uploaded it to the community. After that, that was a long time ago, back in the day stuff. But we all do. Awesome. I mean, but like, it's just passion projects, such passion projects that we do just for fun, and it's like you said, Tristan. It's like we'll say it at conventions, living the dream.
Well, it's living the dream, but it's also something that you say a lot. It's just we love to make cool shit. Like that's it boils down to it's that simple. Yeah. Like I make this stuff because I want this stuff, and I want other people to have this stuff.
Exactly.
And it's cool shit.
It's cool shit, and that's exactly it. If we can make cool shit, so like the one thing was, and like where we have been. The one thing is if I was going to publish physical modern games, Nintendo Switch, we're also doing PlayStation now, which is mind-blowing. We're going to do it to a level that nobody can touch. It's the same thing that I went for with the books. As I release a book, somebody else is going to elevate, other art authors that we won't name, whatever, have done better ones. They've absolutely done better ones than my first NES book. I've probably never mentioned it at VGBS. I did the first complete NES in Microsoft Word. Like, I put the images in Word. Those layouts were done in Microsoft Word. I didn't even know what the hell I was doing. So that's what I'm saying, though. Like, now we're using professional industry standard, programs and equipment and standards and, like... But
like
as,
should be doing.
As they took their collector books up a level, I've now taken it up a level. And to put a bow on things, here in the next couple weeks, we're going to be launching the Complete NES Definitive, the reprint. The definitive reprint of the Complete NES. I've updated all the standards.
I missed out on that one. Are you going to do those crazy leather books that almost killed that guy in Europe?
I don't think I don't think I'm going to have him do those leather... It was the leather book covers. Those things were so freaking cool, man. I might reach out to him and see if he's available, but like he outdid himself with the complete SNES ones, and it was like a painting, man. It was so good.
Dude, even if he would do like a personal copy for me, I would like fly out there in person and give him a hug personally.
Problem is now you're on a podcast where everyone's gonna be like, I want one too. And I want to give everyone cool stuff. I don't know if I'm going to offer the 1800s bindery versions anymore, because I did the leather-bound 1800s tomes versions as well. But we are going to be doing some really cool custom controllers and some other cool options with it too.
I can't wait to see what you come up with. It's always pretty cool stuff. So
well, and the other piece is that since the last VGBS, like, I don't think I was working on the Switch Collector series. And we had done a April Fool's joke saying I was going to do the complete Switch. And that turned into, I could go year by year and create the Switchopedia, an encyclopedia of the Nintendo Switch. Fast forward many years later, I did comprehensive write-ups. I did a bunch of craziness in the first volume. Second volume, first half of the year. And then Premium Edition popped up. And my time all of a sudden, because, this is the best hobby in the world. We're both working.
Yeah, man.
So, like, my time became a lot less. So, we changed it to an abridged fashion where it's going to be... Because I make the best collector's books in the market. Not necessarily the best review books... Because that's one of the pieces where, like, my Complete NES, Complete SNES, one of the limiting factors was I wrote about so many games that we wrote little paragraphs on each one. So that wasn't my strong suit as, a book creator. So I did an abridged format on Volume 2, Part 2, which is going to hold into the Complete NES. And it's going to be abridged, which means it's a collector's book series. What it's going to focus on, though, is our personalized stories, our video game bullshit, our personalized stories on the Nintendo Entertainment System. So the interesting piece will be the whole main crux, the main crux of the book is going to be, it's like 430 pages right now, and it's going to be every single NES game that you can possibly get. Everything.
Yes.
However, there's going to be stories on some of our favorite games, our favorite stories. I mean, Kyle has written stories. Those will absolutely be in there. I did a Nintendo Entertainment System compendium of stories. Those stories will be in there as well. Some of the ones that are notable to the point that they add something that aren't about a hack or something. Because we had hacks in there and a bunch of craziness. And interviews, too, in the compendium. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be a little amalgamation of all of those things. It'll be about, right now it's 430 pages. It'll probably be about 450, maybe 480 pages, something like that. Close to 500. On the NES. It's going to be crazy. But it's going to be setting a new precedence, raising the bar at a quality level higher than any of the competition. But I'm not offering the critical critiques and giant reviews that the others are offering because my strong suit is in the collector's book, the checklists. I have the 6 check boxes, not just the 3 anymore. So it's like there's a whole comprehensive, players and collectors aspects to what I'm doing. So I'm going to focus on that.
I think the best part of those books anyway is people's stories. I mean, like, you can write a review all day long, and it's gonna sound similar because you got like 5 people writing books about the same games. But
exactly,
people's experiences are completely different.
Well, and the hardest part, because you know that there was a story where after the complete NES and the complete SNES, I was doing the complete Genesis.
Yeah.
And I templated that crap out 6-7 years ago. But the hardest part was getting write-ups, because I wrote everything for most of the books. With the Super Nintendo, I had a lot of people contribute from across the gaming community. Well, nobody wanted to write about the B tier, C tier Genesis games. And to the point where I had BS sports title section and everything out of the actual collection of the Genesis.
Shout out to Sword of Sedan.
Yeah. But, fast forward now with this new abridged format, I can publish the complete Genesis. It's done. The work's done. So now I have to do is reformat. So I'm going to do the complete NES this year. I'm going to get Switch Collector Volume 3 done this year, because I already have it done. I'm working on layout work now. I've been making progress every week. And then next year, it's going to be Genesis time. It is time.
Very nice.
Maybe I'll get to that Culture Chronicles 92 finally, because I did 90 and 91 back in the day. Maybe I'll write about 1992 finally. And that Mortal Kombat piece that Paul Niemeyer created years ago, maybe I'll finally get that on the cover. That was what it was.
I was going to say, 92 is full. Oh my gosh, it was full of console wars and senators railing against video game violence, and oh my goodness,
it is a crazy year.
To write about 92.
And my old compendiums were like the Culture Chronicles. They were shorter. They were almost like I wanted to do a quarterly magazine, hardcover magazine, magazine book. Obviously, that got crazy.
You had to clone yourself at some point, dude.
Yeah, I was going crazy, man. It was fun. It was great, but now it's all right, so every year I can realistically release about 2 of my own. Tristan's got a giant compendium.
Oh, yeah, I never even mentioned that. Oh, boy. I mean, I guess to piggyback off of your, collector books, I'm also making a collector book of my own, but it's, so I've got the video game console collector's field guide, and, when COVID started and I had an abundance of time on my hands, I started making game checklists of really obscure stuff like the Nuon and the Gizmondo and the Tapwave Zodiac, and that just kind of grew into, hey, just gonna make another book, and it's now planned to be about 2,300 pages across 4 books.
Jeez.
So yeah, it's absolute insanity. It's grown so far beyond the original scope. It's ridiculous. But yeah. So you'll have that to look forward to sometime later this year as well.
It's craziness. Mm-hmm.
Under the Higgins Alley brand.
Yeah, it is insanity. And so that's the thing though, is it's gonna be huge. It's gonna be crazy. I wanted to make sure. So one thing that I noticed is that we do have people that are chatting, but it's not popping up here.
Oh no.
on the screen. So I'll have to figure that out eventually.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
Sorry to those people chatting. We see that you're chatting. We don't know what you're saying. We're just going to assume that it's good.
Yeah. And what we'll do is we'll do strategic pauses, and I will read as we hit things. The next thing we're going to talk about is what is video game bullshit, which us going down the river, that's part of video game bullshit, by the way.
Yeah.
It's ridiculousness. And let's see here. So, basically, we had a question. If you ever do a Macintosh book, if either of you do a Macintosh book for some reason, I will write some. It came from Destructodisc.
Macintosh book.
Book. I have no experience with the Macintosh. I have no experience. I had a Commodore 64 growing up, and I moved from Commodore to some really crappy PCs all the way up to the current day where I've never really had a real gaming laptop or PC. I have a Steam Deck now, which we're going to talk about the damn Steam Deck. But
yes.
Now, so I don't know why our chat isn't popping up, so that's very interesting. But
man, that Macintosh, like, talk about an isolated gamer back in the day. Like, dude, there were barely any games that were even ported to the Macintosh, as far as I knew.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know if I can like name 4 games.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
as far as like making a compendium for them, boy, that would take some research on my part, and I don't feel like I'd be the right person to even write that book.
Well, exactly. So that is the one piece when it comes to like Macintosh stuff or stuff like that. It has to be in our wheelhouse for us to write holistically on it.
Yeah.
I had jokingly always said I'm going to do the complete Commodore 64.
Oh gosh, yeah. Good luck with that.
There's 2,000 games that start with the letter A.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah. So, it is what it is.
Get on it.
I will get on it, man. Like, that's funny, though.
You'll have, like, an Encyclopedia Britannica just for, Commodore 64 games.
Yeah, I'm kind of doing it for the Switch year by year. So,
yeah.
I'll be, after the Switchopedia finishes out, we'll be good to go. But it's never going to finish because the Switch keeps on going, man. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Well, it's going to look amazing on the shelf with like all of those red spines together. I can't wait to have a full set. So
yeah,
keep them coming.
Keeping it going. And so next on the itinerary, what is VGBS? Now, in classic VGBS format, we're at 30 minutes before we even talk about what the hell this podcast is.
Uh-oh.
It's amazing. It's amazing. 37 minutes and 30 seconds, actually. It's awesome. Dang. That's what we do, though. So, first and foremost, we bullshit about video games. Welcome. That's what we do. We're not the greatest with tech. Like, my internet here sucks, so, like, Tristan's stuff's gonna pause, my stuff's gonna pause for the videos on our streams, but that's okay. Our audio's great. Those of you listening on podcasts, we're on Anchor FM and on Apple iTunes and everything, and that's gonna keep going. We're gonna have some old school listeners that are gonna get an alert and hear us, and they're like, oh my god. Well, we are on YouTube as well, live. We're gonna try to be recording on Tuesdays. Hell, we might even have a couple bonuses, because Midwest Gaming Classics coming up.
Yes.
And so, like, if we record next Tuesday, right after that, we're going to be hanging out and drinking in person. Like, either Thursday, Friday, whenever Tristan decides to commit on what day he's coming out.
No, I know when I'm coming out. Well, actually, I don't.
I know you do. Whoa. Holy cow. So, I just had an ice cube pop and hit me in the glasses. That was awesome.
Ow. What?
I don't know how an ice cube pops, but it did.
That was out of your glass?
Yeah, like out of my glass, and I just had water splash. Well, but yeah, so we're gonna try to record on make it a Tuesday night ritual. Once I'm in Hawaii, it'll be a Tuesday evening, really late night ritual, because by the time it's night for me on Tuesdays, it's gonna be like midnight for Tristan.
Which is fine, because I'll probably be up. As a San Francisco Giants fan, as you can see, I'm used to West Coast games and having to watch my team until midnight, so what's another hour?
Yeah. So we got a couple people saying great to see us, by the way. So what we do is, though, we bullshit about video games. We're going to have an episode topic. The one thing new we're going to do is that we got a little spot over here next to Tristan. That little spot, we're going to have guest spots. So we're going to have on people. I know I've looked into it. And, I mean, all I got to do is click a little button, and there's a guest host. Boom, right there. I just popped it up on the screen. But we'll bring on some guests so they can bullshit with us. We've had guests on tons during the VGBS, first 100 episode era. Our last episode 100, we had James Rolfe, the Angry Video Game Nerd, on the episode. That's how we went out.
Oh, wow.
Ironically, though, because Kyle was such an OCD editor, it took him almost a year to edit that episode. He listened to it 40 times. We are changing the way we're gonna be more live flow. So we're just gonna make sure that we're good to go. But we're gonna have on guests. We're still gonna do bullshit homework, which we're gonna talk about our homework game here later. We're gonna do bullshit homework for sure. Now it's not gonna be 1 week we're playing the bullshit homework. Like, we both work and we have lots of hobbies and we make cool shit. So, as we play the bullshit homework, it's not going to be a definitive cutoff. We're going to talk about the bullshit homework and where we're at, and then we're going to decide as Tristan and I whether we're going to continue playing it to talk more about it or we're just going to kill it going forward.
Yep.
So that's kind of how the bullshit homework's going to go, and then we're going to have an episode topic. So today we're going to talk about us being old gamers. So, what we used to love as kids, and now what we currently have time to play, not only as, working adults, but also creating as many things as we do, and our time is super limited. What do we now currently strive to play? So that's going to be part of the topic.
Yeah.
But in true VGBS fashion, we go down the river. We just let it go. We let it flow. That's why it's perfect, too, where we can read comments. I got comments here on the phone because they're not popping up on the damn screen. I don't know why they're not, but that's okay. But essentially, Nick says great to see us. And then, they're getting a couple informations. They asked if Saru Mario was coming on. Maybe we could have Saru Mario come on as a guest for sure. It'd be great to see DJ again.
Hey, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they just did. For those listeners and those listening on the podcast version, Saru Mario just released FX Yuki, a collector's edition for the Sega Genesis version. He's only doing 500 copies, and it's like $100. But it comes with this giant collector's box, and Saru Mario's a designer. It looks freaking cool. I saw it posted on Twitter. I just asked him, I'm like, hey, dude, I'm about to move. Can I just update my address and get it? Because it's going to ship while I'm, in moving. So,
Jeff, just ship it to my house, please. Just ship it to my house.
And then I'll never see it. No. Oh, it was missing. I don't know. No, I'm playing. But yeah, I might have to use, a Nebraska address or something as a transient address. But
yeah,
I mean that's the one thing. Probably the hardest thing moving, outside of moving the entire collections. Everything here on my walls is empty now. They're not behind me. Everything is empty. I got a few games up. I have my Switch kiosk, which I do have a Switch kiosk now, which is cool. And I got some art up, but that's the last pieces before I move. The actual military packers come the week after Midwest Gaming Classic to pack up my whole house, and then I gotta get ready for sale. So that's besides for that being a hard part, it's this current market of pre-orders, which we also do as a company. But, moving, and now I got to update addresses on a slew of websites that I have pre-orders coming. Kickstarter.
Oh, that's the worst.
It happens every time. God. I've literally went in a buying hiatus since, November, where I've only been buying, small amounts of things because I don't want to have things coming out a year from now still coming out to my Georgia address when I haven't lived there.
Yeah.
And let's be real, how thorough are most of us with our purchases when it comes to pre-orders? Most of the time, we're like, oh, this looks cool, buy. So now, do I have a giant list of everything I've pre-ordered? No. So I got to go to all the old websites that I could think of and update my addresses on those.
Oh boy,
it's gonna be bad.
Yeah, I hope you have fun with that. I don't know what to say. I'm sorry. It's so bad.
It's all good, man. But this will be my last move before I retire, and then I move out to Florida. So, we did get asked in the chat that's not showing up still. Is this Inception? I don't know what that means. So
I don't know.
Here from GI Gamer 1981. So, not sure if it's
GI
Inception.
Gamer's a buddy of mine. He's just trolling.
He's asking if it's Inception. So ask him what the heck does that mean, Inception? That's hilarious. And so yeah, that's the interesting piece is that like there might be a different way to add the chat here. And I might mess around with it, jack around with it here for a minute, but like maybe
we'll get it figured out.
Yeah, it would be fine though. Maybe I'll give us a little bit of a break time and I'll add the chat box and see if we can get it to work here. But before we take a break, what's in the news, Tristan?
Oh my goodness,
There's a lot.
News?
There's a lot. Well, because we could talk rumors too.
Is.
There's a lot.
I mean, there's the Mario Brothers movie coming out. That's like
we do have the Mario movie.
For those of us who lived through the other Mario Brothers movie,
the awesome one.
such a high bar to get to.
Bob Hoskins.
Yeah,
original.
Definitely looking forward to that.
My daughter has mentioned that we are going to see that opening weekend, and she does not go to movies.
Yeah, we have tickets for, and this is probably not a good idea, but the day that we come back from MGC, that night at midnight, I'm going to see it. So,
what day do you get back from MGC? Is it on Monday?
Monday. Oh no, so Tuesday. I don't know when I have tickets. I'm gonna have to check. I don't remember. I think it's for the 5th at midnight or something like that.
That's funny.
If I'm not mistaken.
That's funny.
Yeah,
anyway. we're probably going to go the weekend after. I mean, it'll be fun.
Yeah. So you got the Super Mario Brothers movie. Super Mario Brothers World just came out. There's all sorts of toys that are out right now that I'm super jealous of kids for, but buying them myself, of course, because I'm a child.
What toys have come out?
Let me grab a couple actually. Oh yeah.
Ooh. Okay. And I'll talk while you're hunting. Super Mario World, by the way, is in California, right? That's the one that opened. Was the California one.
I believe so. Yeah.
And so that's I've done a little research. It's about a 2 to 3 hour max place because my family like
experience really.
It's a part of the Universal experience, so it's a small little piece of it, and you can get through everything within a couple of hours, including eating at the Toad's Cafe. There's only 1 or 2 real rides. Everything else is interactive, phone-style experiences where you go to a piranha plant and attack a piranha plant, and you get a coin. Or you get a thing.
I can't imagine that it's not going to be completely backed up, people waiting to for 15 people to wait to attack a piranha plant,
Yeah.
So while it's probably pretty fun,
I think the goal is to get all the keys, and you get 3 keys. After you get the 3 keys, you fight Bowser Jr. and you do a Bowser Jr. interactive battle. But all these battles are kind of
spoilers.
But all these battles, I don't know about the spoilers. I've never been there. But all this stuff is an interactive cell phone type thing. So Disney has something similar where they have this app, and you go around and hunt for treasures around the parks and all this stuff. I was looking into it, and I was not interested at all. Ooh, I saw some of the chat just came into the thing. I think that we do have a chat. I'm gonna mess while we're here.
Yeah, well, just to wrap up the Super Mario World, I think it's worth a visit. I do. I just don't know if I would visit just to go there. If I were in California and I were like maybe a couple hours away, seeing family or something like that, yeah. But now that I've heard from you that it's only a couple hours experience, boy, that'd be
yeah, like I was watching some YouTube reviews, and the guy was talking about him getting there super early and then doing all this stuff, and it sounded really cool. But the problem was that it was just so limited that I was like, man, I don't know. I just,
sure. Yeah, and I get that. I mean, it's a very concentrated Mario experience. Because I mean, like, gosh, look at how much work went into making that little Mario world. Like, they can't make an entire theme park that big. That would take freaking decades to make.
Exactly. And what I'm tracking, and this came from my wife, is that the one in Florida is supposed to be like a full giant park, whereas this is kind of like a mini experience.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. But
yeah, I don't know.
And
I hope that's
just
true.
Magical on the stream is now up on the YouTube channel. It just popped up. I have it like learning technology 101. We do have some chat up now up on the page, so that's
gotcha.
awesome. It's amazing. So we are good now, which is great. So welcome everybody to the chat. You'll be able to see your stuff now on the stream. But
so what else in the news?
So yeah, Super Nintendo
Metroid
World
Prime remake. There have been a lot of like games coming out.
Well, yeah, and we can talk games. But what I was gonna say is circling back. As I move to Hawaii, in the end of May, beginning of June, we are hitting up LA. We are hitting up California, and I've been trying to convince my wife to let me go to Super Mario World. But we may just end up going to Disneyland instead and not hitting up Mario World because, like, if it's really just a partial day, is it worth the... I mean, the guy also did a budget. It was close to $1,000 for him to do it. It's close to $1,000 to do Super Mario World. So is it worth $1,000? It's pretty expensive.
Yeah, that's a big ask.
Mm-hmm. So that is my main question, though, is it worth all that? We shall see, but we'll probably do a little bit of fun when it comes to it. I'm messing with the chat right now, making sure that everybody can see the chat.
Sure.
Yeah, we are live though. So you said that there are a lot of new games. So one of the new games that came out, you mentioned Metroid Prime, right?
Yeah, which that's a little bit of a alluding to something, but I don't know
Maybe.
when you want to talk about our homework, but
well, yeah, we'll go to that after we take a short break.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, aside from Prime Remake, Nintendo Switch Online, do you have a subscription to that? Like, can you play all the, like, N64 games, Super Nintendo, NES, Game Boy?
Oh, yeah, like, as soon as they created the Nintendo Switch Online with the Animal Crossing piece, I 100% had to get it because my wife was obsessed with Animal Crossing at the time. So, like, once that happened, like, it was on.
Well, they just came out with, like, they released 4 more games, which arguably I think are a little bit lackluster. I don't know. I mentioned one of the games to a buddy of mine, and he said that it was blasphemy for me to call it shovelware. But let's see, we got Xevious for the NES. We got Kirby's Dream Land 2 and Burger Time Deluxe for the Game Boy, and Side Pocket for the Super Nintendo. What?
Side Pocket. Interesting.
I could think of a lot more games that would be better served to be on that service than Side Pocket. I mean,
like
you
what?
think
What
Super
would be
Nintendo
better?
and
What
Side
would be
Pocket-
better than Side Pocket, Tristan? I don't get it. What are you talking about?
I don't know.
Like anything? No.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know that I've ever even like thought to play Side Pocket. Is that a classic and I'm just not like in the loop?
Like why? What do you got against Side Pocket? What did it ever do to you? Side
guess,
Pocket's a classic.
Nothing.
What was released for the Game Boy Advance?
Kirby's Dream Land 2, which admittedly awesome game, but
yeah,
I don't know. To me, I'm a little jaded against Kirby right now because every single time Nintendo does these directs, it's Kirby and Fire Emblem, and that's it. That's it.
I mean, and the thing is that Kirby's Dream Land 2 is cool. However, it's no Kirby's Adventure. It's no Dreamland 3. So, and those are already available. And so, I feel like it's kind of a lackluster selection for this month. Nothing out there. I mean, Side Pocket's amazing, right? Like, no. Like, what are we doing here? It feels like Nintendo's literally putting out the IPs and intellectual properties that they're able to get their hands on.
Sure, yeah, and I get that. I totally do.
And by the way, the chat is on the
diversity,
screen
sure.
now. They're screaming Octopath 2 from Nick and Trevor. They both say Octopath 2 just came out.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Octopath 2.
I mean,
now, what are your experiences with Octopath Traveler, Tristan? Have you played the original?
No, I did. I played the original, and oh gosh, I'm gonna get just crucified for this.
But why?
I didn't like it that much. It was so linear feeling. Like I didn't feel like
Now 100%.
Playing the game. Yeah, even though I was playing the game and like there's all these different stories to go along. I mean, I felt like it was holding my hand the whole time and there wasn't really any challenge to it.
Yeah.
And I knew that, the gimmick is that all of these stories are going to intertwine, and I that just wasn't enough for me to like keep playing. It just wasn't for me.
So, I mean, you're not going to get crucified on this podcast because the thing is, like, my time is so limited. I played it, and then I got bored because it was very. I mean, I guess linear would be the key because I was playing it and it didn't keep me engrossed. Like, it was cool, it was great, it was fun.
Yeah.
But, like, it was just okay. And so with Octopath Traveler 2, they had the demo available. So I hadn't bought the game yet, because I don't buy everything immediately when it comes out. I buy cool stuff as it comes out. And I played the demo, and I was playing through. I played as the thief, so I could steal shit, because it's really fun. And you get 3 hours. And I didn't even play through the full 3 hours yet on Octo 2. But it is a significant step up from 1. It's a lot more fun.
Okay, that's good to hear.
And I still feel like it's very hand-holdy to lead you to the next spot, though. Like,
yeah,
I feel like that's gonna aid to the linearity of the game. Like, I do feel like it will. Because...
maybe I'll give it another shot. I absolutely adore the visual style of that game. It for some reason reminds me of the old Suikoden games, even though very different. But I don't know, for some reason just that style reminds me of Suikoden, which I have such amazing feelings toward. Konami, please make another one. Cough cough.
And the chat is still coming in, and Destructo's posting some really good points on Octopath. There's something, and they mentioned the biggest problem with these new 2D games is the dialogue. The dialogue and the stories aren't as engaging as they used to be. Back in the day, they were a lot more engaging. And we have
I think you're absolutely right.
And it's not necessarily even an issue of the dialogue. It's a scope creep thing. It's what we're going to talk about in the main part of the podcast. We have all the games available in the history of video games right now at our fingertips. Everything. Everything is here.
Yeah.
So if I want to play Chrono Trigger, I can play Chrono Trigger right now. Like, I could literally, after the podcast, pop it up on a multitude of different devices, or in my Super Nintendo, and play the cartridge, and then play Chrono Trigger, or Final Fantasy VI. Because we did see from Nick, he wanted to scratch that Final Fantasy VI itch. And I have, what I heard was a recommendation that I haven't played yet, and I want to see if anybody has played it in the chat. And I'm alluding to that. But he was saying that Octo was pretty freaking bad for dialogue, and Triangle Strategy was insufferable. I noticed the dialogue in Part 2 in the demo was decent. It wasn't bad. I was interested in hearing about what this thief was doing, and that their thief guild was like a family, and they called them mother and father and all this stuff. It was very interesting to me. So it was a lot more interesting than Part 1. I'll tell you that much. Part 1, I don't remember a damn thing, but I remember some stuff. And this was from the
I think there was something about a dancer. That's all I could give you.
Well, I thought the dancer was like a prostitute. like I swear that there were sexual innuendos with that damn dancer, and that she was being prostituted out, and she was fighting against them for that. You literally fight against the dude who's trying to sell your body or something. Like, it's some crazy stuff. But the 2D HD stuff, it looks impressive. What I alluded to, though, with the Final Fantasy VI itch, I have heard, and this goes to what I currently am doing nonstop. I have over 500 games in my backlog I need to play for potential physicals with Premium Edition games. Now, I am going through with indie titles, because we publish a lot of awesome-ass indie titles. But there's a game that's in my backlog. I saw it recommended recently, randomly on Twitter. I'm not on Facebook or Instagram anymore. Got hacked, by the way, everyone. Not on Instagram or Facebook. But 8-Bit Adventures 2. That's the recommendation. It's not 2D HD or none of that crap. It's a traditional 16-bit style. 8-Bit Adventures 1 is different from what I'm tracking. I have both in my backlog to test eventually.
Gotcha.
But 8-Bit Adventures 2 I have seen recommended by multiple parties that it does encapsulate what the old 16-bit era RPGs are. A lot of these games I'm noticing as I start to collaborate. And by the way, Tristan, this ain't just for premium. I'm creating a new Hidden Gaming Gems book. Indie Hidden Gaming Gems.
Oh, dude, that's freaking awesome.
I've been working on it for a year. And I'm doing the research and playing all the games. I play everything I write about, so it takes me years to make these things. So when I start doing it, I'm like, oh, I can play some games that we might sign as premium edition games. However, they're all going in this book. So, because we can't sign everything. We don't. It's very expensive, people. Oh, and Nick mentioned something interesting that we didn't talk about. Part 2, and I'm not sure about Octopath 1 because I can't remember, but Part 2 has voice acting. Part 2 has voice acting. And the voice acting is exceptional.
I actually didn't know that.
It is great. Now, as you go through the actual gameplay and you're going from point A to point B, it does, have spots where it's just text. But when you're going through the main parts, there's voice acting. It's good. It's really good.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, I mean...
Yeah, dude, RPGs run the gamut. I mean, it's hit or miss. We all know that.
Well, and here's the other piece. We're talking about this. What's the main topic of the episode, Tristan?
Where have we been?
No, our favorite genres and how our tastes have evolved as we've gotten older.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And so,
topic. Sorry.
Do either of us have time for role-playing games? Realistically?
Oh, absolutely not. Not anymore.
So that is actually a perfect segue into that. And I do hear a little bit of feedback on your side from me talking, by the way. I don't know if...
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we'll fix that. If it's really bad, we'll end up... Here, let me just try and move my mic. How about that?
Maybe that's it. Well, I can't hear you now. Now we can't hear you, Tristan.
Yeah, well, I'll wear a headset next time.
Yeah. But that's the thing, though. So the main crux crux of the episode. Do you need to take a break, though, Tristan? Do we need to take a break?
No, I'm good.
You're good? Okay, because literally we can hit one of these. It's a be right back screen that I just popped up. But when I click that, the chat reloads. So that'll be fun. But those of you in the chat, I did see what y'all were talking about there with the 8-Bit Adventures, and they wish listed and everything. So everybody is tracking that 8-Bit Adventures 2 is coming. So let's talk about how our tastes have evolved, how we've challenged. So first of all, Tristan, what we'll talk about is what our favorite games of all time were. Long-term video game bullshit listeners would know that, I love my action RPGs, my Zelda likes, and my role-playing games and shoot-em-ups and stuff like that. Love Bullsh shoot-em-ups and all that stuff. And so that's, was part of my bread and butter, was playing the really long, engaging stories, putting in 120 hours in a playthrough of Final Fantasy VII back in the day. Setting world records on Super Punch-Out. Playing, Mario Kart 64 and Wave Race 64 to the point where I own world records on almost every track without submitting them because I look at my times and they beat all the world records. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, at the time, yeah, sure.
Which is crazy. Sure. So, we talked about it at the beginning of the episode today. We're making books, but publishing games physically, but at a level higher than anybody can expect. So that means I'm spending a work day worth of time every day working with awesome hobby stuff, the best freaking hobby in the world, but also working a full-time job and having a family. Yeah. And so my tastes have changed. But what are your favorite games? Back in the day when you were a kid, what were your favorite games?
Back in the day when I was a kid, I played a lot of Zelda and Mario Brothers, just like everybody else did. While everyone else had a Super Nintendo, we ended up with the Sega Genesis, and man, serendipitously, we ended up with Toe Jam and Earl. I have no idea how we got so lucky to stumble onto that gem as early as we did when we had our Genesis, but now I mean that game was so good.
By the way, sorry to cut you off, but EJ Music just commented, that is my buddy Keenan from Indiana that I grew up with as a kid. So Keenan was in a band with Kyle back in the day. Wow. And they recorded, and we were in a band called Enemy, None More Evil, which is on my tattoo. So we were all in the band. We were in the Subcon. The Subcon 3, my email? One of the Subcon 3 is EJ, is Eric. And he's in the chat. He said he just popped up in the recommendation, popping up as a live stream. So we are going viral, Tristan. It's awesome. But that being said, EJ, we did Eric, we did a tribute to Kyle at the beginning of the episode. So definitely once this sucker goes, full up on YouTube, give her a listen, man. Sorry to cut you off, Tristan. Down the river, brother.
No worries at all. No, that's awesome. So I played the regular stuff, but then as I got older, I got into RPGs, and I had a friend that we would rent Chrono Trigger and Breath of Fire and Final Fantasy 3, Final Fantasy 2. But back in those days, we had all the time to play those games and enjoy them. So I find myself wanting to play those games, but I just don't have the time to do it. So I play more bite-sized things.
Well, and you're seeing it in the chat, too. Everybody is saying, life is cruel. Life is evil. I now am to the point where I own, and this game from Destructo, that I own every RPG I dreamed of as a kid, but I can only play games a few hours a week. Life is evil. I 100% agree, man. And that is it, though, is that's why this episode topic is so important. And the first episode 101, first one back, for us to talk about, because bite-sized pieces, man, that's why those are becoming so attractive to us nowadays. And
that's right.
like, it is just crazy. And they're mentioning something that I am 100% guilty of in the chat, which is, like, everything is evolved into giant 40-plus hour experiences. It's really easy to quit. Like, I have a classic backlog of games where I start. I'll play them for a few hours. I'll play them on a weekend. Hell, Elden Ring. I played it on a weekend. I even beat the first boss. I played the shit out of it. And then I never played it again. I just never went back because I moved on to the next thing. And it's also, with so many new games coming out, doing all this crazy stuff, like, it's just, we don't have the time, so these bite-sized games are popping in. And so, like, there are new genres that popped up. Some of them that I loathed, hated them, and now I love them, which is crazy. Like, you're talking the roguelikes, which a roguelite.
Absolutely, yes. That is the perfect for the middle-aged gamer that writes books and makes video games and has a day job. The perfect genre of game is a roguelike, because you can.
And we saw in the chat, Hades 2 was mentioned.
A couple minutes. Which was mentioned?
Hades 2 was mentioned in the chat.
Hades, yeah. Mm-hmm. Hades is a perfect example, and dude, my go-to, and I've loved this game for years now. I can't say enough about The Binding of Isaac. Oh my gosh, man. That is my game.
Binding of Isaac was the reason why I wanted a Switch back in the day initially, because I knew Binding of Isaac was coming out. I was like, oh my god, I need it physically. Because I had it on, I want to say, was it on like Xbox Game Pass? It was on something on Xbox, and I got an Xbox One back in the day. And
yeah, it was on Xbox One. It was on like 3DS. It was on Vita. It was on a lot of things, but like, yeah, once it hit like Nintendo, mainstream with like a bigger screen, like, it's so much easier to play like that.
But like, I used to, so my thing was, I mentioned, I used to be like very like paramount on like mastering games and not getting beat, not dying in Mario, holding the run button the whole time and not dying. So the idea of a roguelike pissed me off for years. I hated them. Hated them because you die.
Because you got to be methodical about it, or what?
No, because you die. You're going to die. Right. You're going to learn. You're going to level up. You're going to get thrown some items, thrown some new abilities, and you're going to die. But as I've gotten older and as I've learned, I've grown. And I've 100% gotten used to the idea of dying. So, like, and really, a Robot Named Fight, which Premium Edition Games released, it was the first game we signed, but, like, the fourth we released. That game got me addicted, because that's infinite Super Metroid. Super Metroid that you can play forever. And I still haven't unlocked everything, and we damn published the game. I've written the book on the game, I wrote the strategy guide on the game, and I still haven't unlocked everything. And it's so awesome. That's what I love about the roguelikes. It leads into our BS homework that we're going to talk about, Dead Souls, because it had a Castlevania update. We're going to talk. We're going to talk about that, but Dead Souls. But here's the other piece: games that have some, pseudo difficulty, that I've went back to, also have like kept me going in this modern era. So a perfect example, I initially played it with my 1 to 2 hour bullshit, and then I put it away, was Hollow Knight. But for some reason, I picked back up Hollow Knight, and then I got sucked in, and all of a sudden, I played that shit until I beat the game. But it just like, because there's this certain thing, and another game that Premium published, Cathedral, which is another Metroidvania, did the same thing, where there's this level where you're still in the tutorial mode, and then you get to this really difficult boss, and that thing will crush your soul. But as soon as you beat him, then it unlocks. Hollow Knight does it perfectly. It unlocks the entire game. You start getting just enough to where you start to feel like you're the master of your craft. And it's freaking awesome. And that became one of my top 5 on the Switch of all time. My top 5 games on the Switch was Hollow Knight. Yeah. And so, like, the Metroidvania, and yes, I will call it the
Metroidvanias.
I will call it I love my Metroidvanias. I love Castlevania Symphony of the Night. That is an amazing...
That's my favorite game of all time.
Hell yeah. Mine still is Legend of Zelda Link to the Past, but Super Metroid and Symphony of the Night are a quick second and third, right in there with it. And Link to the Past is just simply freaking nostalgia, man. That's it. That's it. But like, dude, like Symphony of the Night's a damn masterpiece. And like,
Absolutely.
Like a lot of these Metroidvanias, these are programmers that are taking inspiration from people back in the day. And the fact that we're able to publish a few of these too and give them life is awesome. And so like that has been my de facto genre. If we could be the Metroidvania company, I would be the Metroidvania company.
Oh my gosh, man, that'd be a dream come true. Become so successful at it that we work with like Igarashi. Oh my gosh, please.
I mean,
please.
You never know, because I mean, for those of you that are in the chat, I don't know if you know this, but we did work with Igarashi already, Tristan.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Because
you did, I didn't.
I did. Get to. It was before you came on board, brother. But Mighty Fight Federation, Bloodstained, the main character Miriam is a playable character in there. So we worked with a licensed character with Igarashi with, you know, a property that he worked on, which is freaking ridiculous. However, I want to work on a Metroidvania. I want to work on a Metroidvania with the guy. Now, I did see a chat. We saw Sea of Stars was a recommendation. But also, Vampire Survivors is a good one. Have you played Vampire Survivors, Tristan?
I've never heard of Vampire
Survivors. My goodness, man. Okay, so Vampire Survivors should not be a good game. It should be shitty. You literally control a Castlevania character in the middle of the screen, overhead, and enemies just come at you. You don't attack. You just move around.
Okay.
You just move around, and your attack is automatic. It shoots. You can either do a whip, or you can have a character, or like where it shoots like a lightning bolt or whatever. But as you continually beat characters and get level up power-ups, you level up your character to the abilities you want to. My favorite one is the old man with a cane, and he has garlic. It's a ring. You can just walk into things. And as you power it up, it becomes powerful. You can just sit there. And enemies come at you, and they level up, and it's all Castlevania-based, too, which is awesome.
Okay.
I was, and here was the thing. So, you mentioned, Kyle earlier. After that happened, I just needed a mindless game to play. Vampire Survivors was it. It is something that is up on Steam right now. That's the main place that I play it. I do know it was on Xbox Game Pass as well. I played it on Steam. I still haven't unlocked everything. I think I've gotten through about 3 or 4 levels, but Vampire Survivors definitely should not be good, and it's freaking addictive as hell. Like, there's actually a game that we're testing, Tristan, for premium that we haven't talked about, but it is almost like Vampire Survivors, but it like
I know which one you're talking about. After you described what Vampire Survivors like, but
but my thing is that Vampire Survivors doesn't have a Switch port or a physical. So come on, guys, let's get some Vampire Survivors as a physical for us. Like, that'd be amazing. But yeah. Yeah, it's craziness. So Destructo just says he did the Kickstarter for Sea of Stars. He's decided, but he thinks he's going to wait until it arrives to give it his full attention. So he must have backed the Kickstarter. I thought he did the Kickstarter. I was like, well, hell. So one thing is, we talked about Metroidvanias. What's something else that you're pulled to now with your selective time, Tristan?
Actually, it's kind of going back to the I made that comment about Nintendo and their directs, and now I'm disappointed every time because it's just every Kirby game all over again.
Visual novels that I'm not interested in.
Okay, Nintendo, I get it. You have Kirby. You can make Kirby games. Good. Make other things. No, but like it was a couple Nintendo directs ago, and Final Fantasy Theatrhythm. And yeah, that is a word apparently to Square Enix. Theatrhythm. It's a rhythm game with Final Fantasy music, and it's amazing. I played the crap out of those games on 3DS. I was so happy whenever it came out on Switch. There's actually an arcade release in Japan too. For those that might have gone to like a round 1 arcade, you may have played it. But yeah, the Switch version is really good. I just don't think it's as good as the 3DS version. It was the only thing out of that Nintendo Direct that I was excited for. And I pre-ordered it. I've been playing the crap out of it, on top of the Binding of Isaac. But really, that's been it for a while now. It's just roguelikes and short rhythm games,
Awesome.
stuff that you can pick up and play.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically the bread and butter. I still like my action RPGs, but they have to be less grindy. So like Zelda, like Legend of Zelda style. That's the kind of stuff I need to play. Ocean's Heart was a recent one that was really awesome. We were on par to maybe do a physical of it too. They went with a different company, but I still gonna buy the physical. Really cool Zelda style. And of course, Tears of the Kingdom's coming out. So let's anticipate that I'm going to want to play that game. Whether we do it for bullshit homework or not, I'm going to be playing that game.
Sure.
Because Tears of the Kingdom, like Breath of the Wild is one of my favorite games all the time back in the day. I did the classic where I didn't know that you could create a new profile on Nintendo Switch. So I deleted my save so I could start over again instead of just starting a new profile. So I have been trying to recomplete the game, but time has been killing me recently. But that's the thing. So we're seeing some recommendations in the chat that Tristan, you're gonna love the Octopath soundtrack when they release it.
Okay.
That's what Trevor Howard says.
I'll check that out.
Yeah,
like I love video. Good RPG music. My gosh, dude, there's nothing better than like an amazing battle score. Like, oh, dude, like Nobuo Uematsu, like he knew exactly how to do it, like over and over and over again, and like anyone who can emulate his style and just make battles exciting through the music. Dude, respect, seriously.
Well, and that's the thing though, is that like the dude's like a musical genius. So I mean, it's amazing, and that's the one thing that we're gonna miss out on, being limited in scope with our time. So the other thing that's very interesting, one thing that I wanted to talk about, and we didn't talk about during the news, is Steam Deck. And so that is how I play a lot of my indie titles. I play them with my Steam Deck. Now, the interesting piece is that I'm playing like games I'm testing, but I'm just playing games for fun too, like Vampire Survivors. One of the important things for those of us that are short on time or want customizable stuff, there's this thing called Decky Loader for it that I recently found out about maybe about a month ago. It allows you to do plugins. You can make it look like a Nintendo Switch. You can make things streamlined, more artistic. They just released something this week, though, and this is newsworthy, that nobody's been talking about in any of the Steam Deck podcasts. I haven't heard it yet. They created a plugin called Randomizer. So on Steam, the biggest thing is that people have thousands of freaking games, and then they don't know what to play.
It's designed to play a random game.
So you literally click a button. I click a randomizer, so I go to the randomizer plugin, and I can choose any of my folders, my collections that I created. So what I've been doing is going into my testing backlog that I need to test games, and I've been playing games. I did that yesterday while my daughter London's in karate. She's an orange belt right now, going for her blue belt next week. And I played a game, and this game is a damn Metroidvania style game. It has steampunk, time traveling, platforming, grappling, and it's got some brutalness to it too, some death and stuff. And I was like, I played it the entire time and just paused it, and it's paused on my Steam Deck right now. And that was a random one that I came to. That's gonna go into our like for physical style. If we end up not signing it, then we'll talk about it. Because we do have some stuff. I mentioned Nick over here was talking about when we went to your house, and I think he was playing Eagle Island Twist. Nick? Played Eagle Island Twist at your house, he was mentioning. But we won't really talk about games we're testing on Video Game Bullshit unless we're not going to sign it. Because what we don't want is one of these competitors to come in, like, as we're going to have an Ocean's Heart, they come in and sneak it in, and then we can't publish it. Because we want to support. Then again, there's a million games out there. We'll find more stuff.
Yep.
But yeah. Somebody said we need Kenny Loggins to score an RPG. And Danny Elfman. I agree with Danny Elfman.
Let's get Kenny G.
Because that was from a guy named Nathan Rosh. I think you know him. Because Trevor said...
Yeah, I do.
Oh, yeah.
He's a former Air Force dude as well.
All right. Yeah, like... so they want some Kenny Loggins and some Danny Elfman and some RPGs. But that's the thing, though, is like, so Steam Deck to me is awesome. They've added so many cool things. One of the things that I really like is they have integration with the website How Long to Beat. I don't know if you know that website, Tristan.
Yeah, I do.
So, for those that don't know on the podcast or in the chat, How Long to Beat allows you to see how long it takes the community that have logged their times to beat a game, to complete it, and to like 100% it, like to master it or something. And so it's like it gives you a good, reasonable thing. So now there's a little banner that pops up and it says How Long to Beat stats on it too. So I can see if it's a game I'm interested in looking at. Like, okay, so this is an hour-long experience. Maybe we're not going to spend, Tristan and I hundreds of hours working on physical creation and, tons of money to publish this physically. On the other side, though, if it's an amazing game, it's an amazing game. So it kind of helps me scope. Also, like for us playing, when we don't have as much time, looking at a shorter game might be more enjoyable. But I will tell you, though, the biggest thing that I've been playing recently is Picross.
Picross.
I had, within the last month, finally beaten the Sega Genesis Picross that's on Nintendo Switch. So I beat that whole thing, every single board. I have a Konami one on my phone that I play every time I travel to conventions. When I go on the plane, I sit there and play Konami Picross the whole time I fly.
Nice.
I don't know when that'll ever end, but I assume eventually it's got to run out. And then I've been playing Mario's Picross on my analog Pocket. I have it downloaded into the Game Boy player portion so I can have the stationary stuff. So I have it on there. I play it on my analog Pocket, and that's what I play on that. I beat the whole first board of the star. I haven't beaten the easy Picross, but the normal Picross, and now I'm in the second tier and playing that. So it's been craziness. So Destructo Disc mentioned something very important. So Steam Deck is constantly being updated all the time with optimizations and craziness. They have a lot of stuff that you'll back on Kickstarter will not only give you a Steam code, but also a soundtrack code so you can listen to the soundtrack. So maybe like the Kenny Loggins, Danny Elfman, Tommy Tallarico collab that they're talking about in the chat right now.
I see that Tallarico.
Which your buddy that you didn't name is a Tallarico, Mark, a fan. Pro wrestling team. The thing is, though, is that now they created a collection where you can see all the soundtracks that you've gotten access to, but you can't play them on the Steam Deck. So hopefully very soon they're going to allow us to use it. Now, one thing that they do have on the Steam Deck for Destructo, on the Decky loaders, they have this thing called, it's like Radio. And it allows you to take these links. I haven't found one for my genre I like right now, but you can play music in the background as you're playing games. So you could play, like, I don't know if you find, like, if I want to find, like, Ronnie James Dio radio or something, I'll play some Dio behind while I'm playing a game. Playing Vampire Survivors and playing Dio or something.
You got Dio. Yeah, that'd be pretty appropriate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be pretty freaking rad. But that's the thing, though. With the Steam Deck, though, they're undoubtedly going to release an ability to play those soundtracks because they put it in the damn collections. It's mandatory and shows up. Now, I mean, we can do a Steam Deck episode later. I could talk about how I have everything laid out in my own collections and what I need to do. And because, I mean, I've even creating collections for the Steam indie games book that I'm creating, too. So I did that, too. We had a question, though, from Trevor Howard. What are our personal recommendations to get off of 3DS and Wii U before they go away?
Okay, I'm only gonna say one game for each.
Okay, what are your one games?
I'll give it to you after I say the 3DS because I can't think of a Wii U one. I wasn't much of a Wii U. No, okay, I got a Wii U one too. For 3DS, pick up Project Cross Zone and Project Cross Zone 2. Those are some sleeper hits. They're amazing games in my opinion. So freaking good.
Fortunately, Project Cross Zone at least one has a physical.
Yeah, but both of them do. Both of them do.
Part 2 does. I know I have Part 1. Part 2 does. What about those games that only have a digital release though? Because I am not
digital. Is that what he asked?
I am not well schooled. Well, no, he didn't ask only, but he said before the eShop goes away. From my perspective, when it comes to preservation. We're talking, if it's available physically, I could buy it on eBay, I could still play it. But I can't download anything that's only available on the eShop.
Yeah, I get that. I'm just coming at it from a perspective of, like, before it gets prohibitively expensive to get. And I think Project Cross Zone is kind of under the radar. As is, on the Wii U, it's called... oh crap! It's that
Nintendo Land.
It's made by Nintendo, and it's that like NES challenge thing where they have like all those black boxes games.
NES
and
Remix.
Punch Out. There you go, NES Remix. Thank you.
And then there's Ultimate NES Remix on the 3DS.
That's right.
That does it a little bit better. There's NES Remix 1 and 2. And one of them, which I think the 3DS has it, but as well as I think Part 2, you can play Super Luigi Brothers, which is Super Mario Brothers backward. So you play it.
Dude, that feels so wrong. That feels so wrong.
Mm-hmm. It does. I can't do it.
Running right to left. Ugh.
Yeah, but those games that would be my biggest recommendation, would be the NES Remix games. So you took that one, definitely. We're on the same parallel because those games are really fun. Okay. Those games are cool. Those are the one games that really haven't been released yet on Switch. You have a couple others that haven't been on Switch, haven't been ported yet, that are major IPs. But a lot of the hidden gems, there's not a ton on the Wii U. It wasn't really supported as much as the Switch.
Not really, no. It's not a big library to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
There's really no hiding in the Wii U library.
Yeah. We're seeing a lot of people agreeing with the remix games being a recommendation because those are just really freaking cool. Now, the thing is, from a preservation perspective, right? We saw one of our YouTube friends, Gerard the Completionist. Little known fact, one of the games we released, Wunderling DX. One of his writers, Alex Fasciano, wrote all the jokes and all the words inside Wunderling. So we do have a loose, like we do know Gerard the Completionist through, buddies and through business adventures. However, he had bought every Wii U game and every 3DS game and spent like $20,000 or something. Some ridiculous amount of money to buy every single game. From a preservation perspective. Now, he did that so he could legally own all the games or whatever. That being said, though, from my perspective, knowing how video games go and how the Super Nintendo, Super Famicom, Nintendo systems have gone, preservation, including all online services, will continue when collectors, gamers, and passionate hobbyists want it to continue. They will continue to keep it alive. They will create their own servers. They will create their own patches. They will create their own translations. They will create their own repositories. It will all exist. However, from my perspective, because I am on the other side of the boat now, I do physical preservation. I like supporting what all the developers are doing, giving them a legitimate legal physical release, making it, promoting it, and making sure that it is part of the penultimate version of the Nintendo Switch, making the best thing they possibly could have.
Yeah.
But also, it also shows them that people want to play their games, and then they'll make more amazing games for us in the future. So it keeps our hobby going forever, because more people want to make more amazing games. That is why we do this. That is why it's absolutely living the dream. It's why, like, at Premium, we do quality over quantity. We go slower because, like, we're going to make cool shit. Like, you mentioned it at the very beginning. We make cool shit. And that's where, from a preservation perspective, even though we all know piracy is going to continue, it's going to preserve things, that's where VGBS goes completely off the rails. Like, we're going to tell it how it is. Yep. However, from a preservation perspective, it's surreal to be able to actually preserve it, but also show these developers, yes, people do want to play your games. People do want to support your games. So while Gerard the Completionist has spent all this money to save everything, and it's going to be amazing to legitimately preserve everything in the future, it's amazing. Hats off to him. I don't feel like that would have been impossible if he had not done that. I don't know your perspective on that.
No, I mean, I think you summed it up really well. I honestly have nothing to add to that. As far as like developers go, yeah, we're gonna support them and like nurture their games so that it's the best thing that it can be. And I mean, we kind of ran into that with a game we were gonna release on PlayStation, like. Do you want me to talk about that, or do you want to talk about that?
Oh, no, you go ahead, but I will tell you, like, if there's anything you're going to learn about Tristan and I, like, we got standards. And I will tell you, and this became even more relevant and apparent when we unfortunately lost Kyle. Again, rest in peace, like, hats off to the best of us. Like, our standards, I'm not going to compromise, man. Like, we're going to release badass stuff. So go ahead.
Yeah. So when Jeff says that he wants to release the best and most complete version of the game, he's not kidding. We were going to release, and I won't name the game, just, whatever. But there was a bug in the game.
I'll name the game,
there was
Tristan.
A bug that, what's that?
I'll name the game, Tristan.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, it's
Rack and Ruin. It is Rack and Ruin
on PlayStation,
and it's not affecting the Switch version. It doesn't affect the Switch version at all. So we have the complete version on Nintendo Switch. I literally have it in my hand because we just got them in physically for Switch. Mm-hmm. However, right before we took pre-orders for PlayStation, Tristan's story popped up. Go ahead.
Yeah. We come to find out that there's a bug that prevents you from getting one of the achievements. And, we're, for the PlayStation, one of the biggest things, I mean, aside from, it's an incomplete, like, basically you can't 100% the game, so it's not complete. That's not up to our standards. Number two, for all of the PlayStation releases that we're doing, the patches that you guys can earn, you earn by getting the Platinum trophy in the game. And that's not possible right now through the PlayStation version. So we're just not comfortable going forward releasing that game. And, we're working with the developers right now to try and rectify that. That's just the long and short of it.
Yeah, I mean, that was the one thing is the community brought it to our attention that you cannot beat one of the challenges. And we were, as soon as I said that, we have a developers chat, and I went to, LifeSpark, which LifeSpark is the publisher, not digital publisher, but the programmer for the game. And I went to LifeSpark and said, hey, this needs to be fixed. Otherwise, like, let us know. They said it's not going to be a long turnaround. They said it's going to be short. However,
yeah.
Knowing how games go, I'm like, all right, once you fix it, you let us know, and then we'll take pre-orders, because I'm not going to do pre-orders. I'm not going to start doing anything. I saw a quote from Nathan Rosh saying, "We've upped our standards, up yours." Not sure if that's an inside joke or not, but like, I was
no inside joke there. That's pretty funny.
Where's our boxing? No, we just have high standards. Like, it's just we're not going to compromise. And that's the other piece.
We can't compete with someone who is also owned by the company that owns Lord of the Rings. We just can't compete on that level. So we have to stand out in other ways.
I don't want to compete on that level. Like, they've done some crazy shit, and I'm good to be cool and be fun and go to conventions, and we literally create a patch that says I survived, so you survived the weekend with us. Like,
I mean, I'm tons of respect to those guys. Like, they've done amazing things. We're just not them. Period.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to try to be any other company out there. There's lots of... They're called limited publishing companies. Like, we've never claimed to be a limited company. We're a smaller company. Our releases will be limited in nature just because of the support that we are currently at with the reach that we have as a... Like, of course, we're going to be... we're going to have, limited releases, but we'll do a second printing. We'll do a third printing.
Yeah.
Like... one of the things that we try to do is exclusivity. It's not going to be guaranteed for every title we ever do, like regional and worldwide exclusivity. But to me, it's more interesting because then it allows us to, be the only ones who release it, and you don't have 27 versions of a game coming out. So stuff like that's cool. That's off on a rabbit hole tangent, and we promised we're not going to talk a shit ton of premium on this sucker. But yeah, so. Steam Deck is freaking awesome. I feel like the preservation is going to happen. Regardless if it gets on a physical or not, I feel like things will be preserved. But I want to see the support for the developers. That is the one thing. We're like, I know we're going to take care of the developers when they work with us, but I just want to see the developers know that people want to play their damn games, and they're not just going to talk about them 10 years down the line like it's a hidden gem that nobody ever played when they could have played it when it came out, and then they make 3 more, and it'd be amazing. So that's kind of my thing with the Wii U and the 3DS. But for sure, NES Remix for sure, man. That was a really good pitch.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. So, do we need to take a break, Tristan? Or are you good to go on through and finish this out?
Personally, I'm good, and we can finish it out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk a little bit about our bullshit homework. So I'm gonna flip over, and oh my gosh, we got a new picture. The chat should pop up somewhere. However, we played Dead Souls Return to Castlevania. I only set up one camera on this sucker for the stream, but I'm going to flip back over to the main one here once we start talking about bullshit homework. So, when I had reached out, we were going to record last week, and we were going to allude to Castlevania Dead Souls. So, essentially, Dead Souls Castlevania. Dead Souls is a roguelike game. I flip back over to the main screen now, Tristan. But Dead Souls is a, roguelike game that takes heavy inspiration from Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Apparently, sometime last year, probably before that, they got the rights and the ability to add Castlevania Symphony of the Night storyline and characters and abilities and weapons and costumes and everything to Dead Souls. And about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, they released this DLC content. So, to be honest, I had only played the original Dead Souls for about an hour. I knew nothing. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, any of that stuff. It was freaking crazy. And so when the DLC came out, I was like, hell, now it's an excuse. I'm going to play Dead Souls or Dead Souls, Souls-like.
Yeah, I do. It's easy to mix them up because it is a Souls-like game in that it's kind of brutally hard sometimes. So I totally get why.
But the Return to Castlevania DLC, I watched a few reviews first, and I really, really wanted to freaking, play this version because, like, I love Symphony of the Night. So I thought this was the perfect game to kick off VGBS 101. Typically, when we talk bullshit homework, we're talking about what the next game is that we're playing. But how we're going to do this refresh of VGBS with tribute to Kyle is that we're going to talk about a game and how we've been playing it since we have evolved. We're old now, Tristan. At least I am. I'm not going to speak for you, Tristan, but I'm an old man. So we're going to talk.
You're 6 days older than I am. You're old.
So much older than you. So the thing is that what we're going to do is we're going to talk how we've played with it. And then at the end of our chat here, our bullshit about Dead Cells Return to Castlevania, are we going to continue playing it next week? Or are we both done? Are we both done with this shit and are we moving on? Now, if one of us wants to continue, we make the general contingency, then we'll both continue to play it. And we'll talk about it and, in classic form. Or we move on to the next game. And you may have alluded to what we might be playing in the next game. But we won't reveal what the next game is until we're ready to move on. Because what I like is, with this new iteration of bullshit homework, is all homework is bullshit. That's why bullshit homework exists. It's bullshit. But if we're enjoying ourselves, let's not stop. Let's keep going. Like, we don't have to move on. And I mean, I know just from our chats, Tristan had a frustrating couple weeks with this fucking game. So, like, I haven't even cursed that much. I usually always curse on VGBS. I haven't cursed that much. But yeah, Tristan, like it is crazy. I will talk about mine after yours because I feel like yours is going to be hilarious.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I want you to talk first because yours is going to be hilarious. Okay. Yours is going to be hilarious. I want to hear.
This is my take on Dead Cells Castlevania because I definitely, I triple checked that I had the DLC downloaded. When I boot up the game, it goes to the title screen and it says Dead Cells Castlevania, and there's this pop-up saying, "Hey, you've got Dead Cells Castlevania," and then I play the game, and I don't think it exists. I'm convinced that it doesn't exist because I've never run into any Castlevania characters or enemies or anything else.
Well, you're not going to.
Yeah, apparently not.
No, so I'm
playing it wrong.
So I told Tristan needs to stop being an old man and watch a YouTube video where they do it because.
I do.
So essentially, the DLC is one biome. So biomes are the environments that you go into. So when you dropped into the world, after you die, the million times you freaking die in this game, when you get dropped into the world, you take on a new body, and then you go through the initial area. The initial area is where you can change your costumes, do the daily challenges, boss rushes, as well as get your weapons. If you've unlocked them, you can get a weapon roulette that I currently have, where I can choose like 3 different weapon roulettes for starting weapons and stuff, which is cool. And after that, you start in the first area. That first area allows you to go to a multitude of different sections. On either the far left or the far right, you'll come to these stairs that go down. The very first time you go to it, like freaking Richter's right there, and he tells you.
Never seen it.
Yeah. Like, he's right there.
Every playthrough, he's never there for me.
And you have to... So, like, I would recommend scouring every inch of the map. Every inch of the map in that very first section before you move on from the very beginning. Yeah. It's like, in 2 minutes, you should be able to unlock that whole map, and you should be able to see every piece.
Got me, dude.
Yeah, you may need to re-download. Well, you did say you wanted to Dance with the Devil, and you wanted to play it in Steam instead of on the Switch. I played mine on the Switch.
No. I'm actually. Oh wow, maybe that's the problem. I'm playing on Xbox. Maybe it's an Xbox problem.
I don't know. I have only played it on Switch.
Gotcha.
So, for my experience is a little bit different. So, essentially, when I downloaded it, I immediately went to the section, because I went, like, to the left or whatever. Like, after I went down the area, I went over to the left side, and I saw Richter immediately, and I went right to the castle. And so you go there, and it plays classic Castlevania remixes. And these are so good. And you go through, and you attack all the enemies, and you're getting through, and then you'll see, like, different weapons that pop up, and you'll be able to get, like, the actual cross that spins. You'll be able to get the vampire killer, electric whip. There's holy water. There's the bouncing trisogram. Like, there's everything in it. A representation. This is a perfect representation. Because you haven't played it, like, are you going to want to try to continue and try to fix this, or are you going to want to move on?
For video game bullshit, I say we move on.
Okay.
I say we move on.
So I'm going to continue with my story then, with spoilers intact. So, as I continue going through, you then get through the whole first section. You're going through, like, the whole outside where you get to you have to get, like, into the castle a certain way to unlock the drawbridge. You go into the beginning part of the castle, and then you get ready to go against the Dracula, right?
Yeah.
Like, you get to go against Dracula. So you go into it, and in between every biome, there's a hub where you can update your different power-ups. You can unlock, you use all the souls, the cells that you've gotten to unlock new weapons or costumes or whatever. They have a Maria costume, they have a Richter costume, they have a Simon Belmont costume, a Trevor, a Death costume, they have a freaking Dracula costume, they have everything. All costumes. And after you do that, then you go into, you're like walking across, you're going to go into Dracula's thing, and you get grabbed by a hand and dragged into hell. So you go to the underworld, and at the end of that, you actually fight death. You do a giant battle with death. And so after you do that mini boss battle with death, it sends you back to the world of dead cells, and you go through. When you get to the clock tower in Dead Cells, because there's a normal clock tower in Dead Cells, you then see Alucard, because you meet Alucard in the castle the first time, and you talk to him and everything. You also get to a spot where you can unlock and release Maria, just like in Rondo of Blood, which is really cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Really cool. And you get her costume, which then you can play as Maria, essentially, with her costume. Which is awesome. I play with Maria still. But what's really, really awesome is that, so then you go back and Alucard tells you can only go into Dracula's castle once per run, so you have to come back. So I essentially, during that first run, then finally I went to the end and beat the game for the first time. I had never beat Dead Cells. So I beat Dead Cells. I fought the whole end boss in the high-end castle and everything. It was really a high-peak castle, I think is what it's called. You fight the king's protector, and then you murder the king at the end. And it's freaking crazy. And then you get these, like, little, like, boss cells. And then it turns it from normal mode to hard mode. And then you have a cell. You can kick down these doors that have a single boss cell on them and everything. And I played through a couple times. And actually finally got through, and I got back to the clock tower. And then when you get back to the clock tower, you see Alucard again, and then you can go into Dracula's castle. This time, though, Dracula pops up randomly, and he'll do random stuff, like he'll throw bats at you, or he'll flip up the screen upside down, or do a bunch of craziness as you're going through. After you beat the castle this time, though, you go across, and you get to go into Dracula's endpoint. One of the coolest things is, in Rondo of Blood, did you realize that before you got to Dracula, there's a random staircase you can go up and get to all the power-ups?
Yeah, oh yeah.
In Rondo of Blood and Symphony? You can do that in Dead Cells, and you get 2 more costumes, by the way.
Oh, I love it.
And
attention to detail.
Yeah. And then you go in and you battle Dracula. And the funny thing is, he goes, I don't know who the hell you are. Like, I don't even know who you are. Like, it's so funny. And you fight him, you beat him, it says you beat Dracula, all this stuff, and then all of a sudden the whole place erupts and the giant second form Dracula comes out.
Of course.
This time, instead of being from the side perspective like you would have in Rondo at the beginning of Symphony of the Night, it's all in 3D. And he's like, you're attacking a big dragon. And he's like breathing on you and doing fire and all this crazy. And he goes in the back and shoots these giant meteors on you. And it is like freaking crazy. It is insane.
Okay, that's awesome.
And then after you beat him, you beat the game. And it plays the classic, like the doon 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 doon. They play that whole music from like one of the sections in Symphony of the Night, and we sing on VGBS, by the way. That's a normal thing. Like terribly, terribly sing.
We'll see.
This is why we drink alcohol, Tristan.
Well, I don't, but
no, I know you don't.
I got Red Bull. If I get hyped up enough, yeah, maybe I'll sing.
Exactly. But anyways, then you beat the game. However, you don't get any boss cells for being Dracula, but you unlock things. I went through yesterday, I think, or was it 2 days ago? I beat Dracula second time and I unlocked Dracula's costume. So I haven't put the cells in to get it. But since then, though, I continued to play Dead Cells because I got engrossed in it and we were playing it for bullshit homework, so I kept playing. I beat it on hard. I beat it on very hard. And I got to 3 boss cells, and it's like extreme mode. And I have not been able to beat it with the 3-cell extreme mode. Apparently, after you beat it that one, what I'm tracking that I have to do is I have to fight the giant. There's a giant that's slain at the beginning of Dead Cells. And you apparently have to fight the giant, and then you get the 4th cell, or you get a 5th. After you have 4 cells, you get a 5th cell, and then you can fight the final boss of Dead Cells. And apparently, you are the king. You are the king reincarnated. You get to play as the king, and it's some crazy meta shit in Dead Cells. It's an amazing game. Like it's so
crazy.
Insane. Somebody asked if there was no Grant in the clock tower. So one of the things is the Trevor costume is available when you go up those magical staircases before you fight Dracula. The other one is the magician. Is her name Sophia? I always get her name wrong. The magician from Castlevania 3.
Yeah. Sypha.
Belanese. Yeah. So, Sypha.
I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, but whatever.
Said, so the chat heard that if Tristan drinks 7 Red Bulls in a single day, he goes Super Saiyan.
Good thing I've only drank 6
at
any given time.
6.5 right now. But yeah, so to me, and we usually just give it a thumbs up, thumbs in the middle, thumbs down if we're going to recommend it or whatever. We've given grades. We gave grades to me, and we do, A through F. We have an S tier. We do the same grading criteria when we're rating games for premium. We're going to assign them to. To me, Dead Cells with the Castlevania DLC has made it into the S tier for me. Initially, it was great. It was an A tier. It was an A game, A+. So A+ would be what we would call it. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not, I can't give Castlevania, the DLC a grade, obviously, because I didn't get to play it.
That's true.
There's something wrong with my download or whatever. But Dead Cells itself, yes, is absolutely an A+ game. And with Castlevania, I mean, like, dude, that franchise is just amazing. So
it blew me away. The DLC, if you got to play,
for sure.
If you got to play the DLC, man, like I'm disappointed that you couldn't find it. Like I blame Xbox.
Well, I'm gonna try again in my spare time, but I don't want to hold up video game bullshit just for my Xbox woes.
Well, so I'm just saying with the next game that we're gonna do, it might take us months to play it. Who knows? Like,
true.
I mean, so somebody Nathan asked in there, which has more kick, Red Bull or Rippets?
Rippets all day long.
I mean, Rippets, like especially the mini cans. We did the mini cans all day.
Yeah, the mini blue ones.
Like I used to love because they created not the regular red, but then they did the blue, which is sugar free, but then they did the super, like the darker red ones. Those were the treat when they released those. Like I was deployed in Iraq for a long ass time, for a year and a half, man. I was there straight a year and a half. Like I went loopy. I went fucking crazy back in 2006, 2007. Like I was there a long ass time ago. So I know all about the Rippets. They got big cans of Rippets now. Like I haven't seen those in a while, but they have big Rippet cans now.
Yeah, I think Dollar Tree has those or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're usually at the dollar stores. But yeah, so like, don't worry about holding up the video game bullshit, because again, like we're busy as hell. We got all the time in the world, man. And I mean, we're gonna try to record next week again before we go out to Milwaukee. If anybody is out in Milwaukee area or is going to Midwest Gaming Classic, come find us. We're gonna be with Premium Edition at the booth, hanging out. I'll be drinking a lot of tequila. It's gonna be a good time. There's a lot of after parties, music, bands, craziness. It's gonna be fun as hell. Like it's gonna be a really fun time. Do you want to unveil what we're gonna play for our next homework?
Yeah, since I alluded to it in the beginning, we are going to be playing a game that just came out recently, and it was actually a surprise during one of Nintendo's little press conferences. Nice. Metroid Prime Remake.
Remastered. I flipped the screen so people can read what you can't read, which is Metroid Prime Remastered. So one thing that Tristan tried to do with Dead Cells for the homework was he tried to play it on a different format than what I did. So one thing that I'm going to do is I actually did just get Metroid Prime Remastered finally on Switch physically. So I did get a copy. But knowing that we were going to play this for bullshit homework soon, I also got Prime Hacks running on the Steam Deck. So I have the Prime Hacks version as well, which is HD Metroid Prime 1. I played it a little bit, but then I went back to Dead Cells to play Morphania. So now it's going to be a focus of mine to play more. I'll probably continue to play on the Steam Deck just so we can kind of compare and contrast experiences to how we like it. But to me, what are your experiences with the original like Metroid Prime? Because the remaster one is like apparently it's fixing a lot of the nuances, does some really cool graphics, all that stuff.
I have played 1 and 3. For some reason, I never played 2. I don't know why, but I played 1, and all I remember about 1, because I'm not the biggest Metroid guy. If you put Metroid and Castlevania in front of me, I'm always gonna pick Castlevania, and I know there's no like good 3D Castlevania game. Just look at freaking N64. But Prime, I did play. It was pretty good. I just remember the controls to be a little bit janky, and I think that's one of the things that they fixed. So I'm pretty excited to actually give that another shot, because that was one of my points of frustration with that game and why I put it down in the first place. I never did beat that game.
I want to say like the original Prime was probably around the same era that I started to have less time to play stuff. Because like the GameCube came out when I got around college and I hadn't played as many games. 'Cause I remember I got a GameCube to play Smash Brothers in the dorms with a bunch of people. We used to do tournaments and stuff, but like Prime came out, I know I played some of it. I don't remember playing more than a few hours. I feel like I am treading within the first hour that I play. I feel like I was treading new territory that I don't remember on Prime Hacks. So I don't really know what my experience is going to be with Prime. It's going to be awesome. I feel like it's going to be new. The interesting thing with Prime Hacks, though, is that it's all 3 games done in HD. So I have all 3. I'm only planning on playing part 1. And if I have, I'm going to fire up the Switch version too, so I can compare the first couple hours, and then I'm going to continue with whichever one draws me in more. So that'll be the interesting part of the story. So I've played a little bit of Prime Hacks. I'm going to play some Remastered. I'm going to compare the controls. See, because like Prime Hacks was updated for Steam Deck. And the Steam Deck version has been updated and optimized for that control scheme. So it should be about as good as it can potentially be. But I've noticed some weird shit that is popping up with the Prime Hacks. So I'm gonna see how the reimagined does with it.
Yeah.
And Trevor said you need to shut your damn mouth about the N64 Castlevania. It was ahead of its time.
Yeah, whatever.
I played
he likes 64, so.
Well, I played the hell out of Castlevania 64 back in the day. And I will tell you, because I rented games as a kid, because I grew up poor. We used to rent games and go to the damn flea market. Mm-hmm. That's Kyle and I's stories, video game bullshit. I played the hell out of that game. That game was so damn slow. I beat it, but it was a pain in the ass. I never got Legacy of Darkness till later when I bought it to collect. But I never played that crap, the better version. Which in reality is just a refined version of the original with a different character, with more characters. But I never even played it because I was so mad and scorned by 64. Because that was the only game I had that weekend. That's what I wanted to play, and it was
Well, that's another good topic. We were forced to play games because we didn't have a whole lot of choice back in the day. You rent a game and you're stuck with it for the weekend.
Maybe we could talk about that for episode 201 or 102 next week. We could talk about rentals.
Yeah.
Because that'll be the thing. We'll talk about where we're at. And it's an interesting topic because we would get pigeonholed, and I got tons and tons of stories, man. Like all day.
Yeah.
All day. But yeah, I think this is a good time for us to do our outro. I think we covered everything we wanted to talk about. So basically, what we'll talk about at the end of the outro is like where everybody can find us, where we're gonna be at, like kind of thing. And so essentially, like for Tristan and I, we're gonna be at Midwest Gaming Classic in a couple weeks. That is the only convention I am attending this year. Usually, I go to about a dozen conventions during the year. That is the only convention I'm going to because I'm moving to Hawaii about a month and a half after I'm moving to Hawaii. So I'm not going to any other conventions unless they fly me out from Hawaii, which I don't see anybody in their damn reasonable mind flying me out from Hawaii. But my thing is that we're going to have a great time. A lot of the team members from Premium are going to be there. There's a lot of game developers that I know that are going to be there. NES developers. The guys who run Old School Gamer Mag are going to be there. Ryan Berger. And I know, Tristan, you're working with OSG as well.
Yep.
They're going to be out there. Mortal Kombat dudes are going to be there. So, prepare your liver. That's the saying. I'm going to have fun. You prepare your liver for all the Monsters and Red Bulls you're going to drink because
that's right.
Stuff's going to go crazy. My nephew also lives out there in Milwaukee. He's in his 30s, so he's old, but he'll be out there hanging out with us. My wife told him to keep track of me, make sure I don't do it too crazy. Now the other piece is MGC will also be a tribute to Kyle, VGBS Kyle, because we went and did a VGBS panel every year. We've been on the Tales of MGC, the channel that they have on, and we have IMDb credits for the Tales of Midwest Gaming Classic. So, it's some crazy stuff. Nathan asked if I'm going to Southeast Game Exchange. I'm not going to be out in Georgia anymore, so Premium will be attending, whether that be Scott, who does our street team with Premium Edition games, Scott Wilson, or Gamers for Gamers with Josh and Sheena, who sell our games at conventions every weekend. He's going to a convention right now, Josh is. So whether they're doing that or not, we're going to be at Southeast Game Exchange. I personally am going to be in the islands doing some crazy beach time and bullshitting about games because VGBS will continue. I might do it from the damn beach. Who knows? I had to get Tristan set up. So we got to get Tristan set up so you can get this set up too.
I'll get a green screen. I'll go to the beach with you.
Hell yeah. I like it. Maybe we'll just get green screen for next episode and we'll be at the beach. I ain't got nothing behind me now anyways. Like, it's craziness. Yeah, I got... Like, the funny thing is, it's just right off camera. Like, when I mentioned all the Hasbros, they're right there. I got bags filled of Hasbros and stuff. Like, it's so many games. So many figures and games. But yeah, so we'll be at Midwest. And then Premium Edition games, we just put up a second chance sale for Rack and Ruin. So this awesome-ass retro edition with the embossing on the front and foil all over the damn thing. This amazing Paul Niemeyer's slipcase for our standards. This is our standard. It's like a damn collector's edition. It's our standard. Inside here, I haven't opened mine yet. There's a Metallica Black tribute that freaking Tristan did. The damn soundtrack looks like a Metallica Black album. Freaking awesome. Badass release. We have that going on. We have pre-orders for Music Racer Ultimate and Phoenotopia Awakening for PS4 and Music Racer Ultimate for PS5 up. We're about to do an MGC timeline re-release of Aura Body Binder's Tale for the NES. That's going to go up for MGC week. So next week, we're going to have Aura Body going up for NES. Also, next week, I think on Friday, Raji and Daily Pixels are going kaput for pre-orders. Pre-orders are over for Raji and Daily Pixels. So that's another thing.
Boy.
So those that have been waiting for that, make sure that you get all that. That's for all our Switch collector friends that are watching right now or listening on the podcast. Make sure you get your premium stuffs. We got that stuff going on. And then Tristan and I are working on books. What else we got going on, Tristan?
So you mentioned Old School Gamer. I'm writing articles for that.
Yeah.
Working on the books. We got Premium Edition. Geez, dude.
And we're gonna be bullshitting every week, so y'all hear from us.
Exactly. Yep.
And Tristan's got to keep me to the damn schedule because this is we record Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're gonna try to keep that going. I might have to be later once I move to Hawaii because I think that's too early Hawaiian time. I think I'll still be working, so it might have to be later on in the night. But you should hear from us more often, and we'll just bullshit. They may not all be 2-hour plus episodes. They might be hour-long episodes, but we're gonna shoot shit.
We just had a lot to cover this time.
Yep.
It's the first time back, so there's a little bit of getting to know the format and everything. So we'll streamline this. It won't be as long next time.
It's episode 101. It's really good to be back.
Sure.
To be back. Bullshit. When we bring on guests, we'll announce it the week prior. So if we're gonna bring on old Eric Coffin, which he's a local collector over by you, Tristan. We're bringing on Coffin. We'll announce it early.
That's right.
His pretty face will take up where the live chat is on this stream. But it'll be a fun time. Anyways, everybody, we thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, guys.